This coronavirus is bigger than 9/11 or Pearl Harbor or anything we've ever seen before. And on the biggest picture of all, the coronavirus and the coming crash, financial collapse possibly, marks the end of the industrial age and the beginning of the information age. It's a very big move. And the people that are in trouble today are people still stuck in industrial age thoughts. The people that are struggling financially haven't moved on yet. Those of you at home right now who are sitting going, but I'm going to lose my job, my house, my pension, and all this, it's because you're trapped with old thoughts. And as most people know, is that, when I came up with Rich Dad Poor Dad 20-something years ago, mainstream media crucified me. They said, Rich Dad Poor Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, the rich don't work for money. Savers are losers. Their house is not an asset. And I was crucified, just crucified. And the good news is, as several of your guests have said, the most important thing you can have right now is not job security, but meaningful work. So you and I don't need the money, but our work is meaningful. And it's our meaningful work that gets us through the hard times. So the good news is my company is sold out. We cannot keep up with product. The bad news is the supply chain shut down, but that's a good problem. We have tons of cash. I have gold, I have silver. And I do have challenges in the real estate market, but that's going to make me stronger. That's my only attitude I can have. Otherwise, I just cry and say, well, the government should take care of me. I need a bailout. I need a stimulus. And Brian, you and I know stimulus means welfare for the rich. When I talk to young people, which drives the school teachers, I don't go back to schools anymore because I'm not politically correct. You know what I mean? So I went back, so when I would explain the Fed to them, I said, well, just think of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. There was the Tin Man, there was a Straw Man, and there was a lion with no heart. And so they thought they could go see the wizard, and the wizard would give them what they asked for. So they prance along the yellow brick road, and they pull back the curtain, and there's a midget back there. This big illusion. And that's Ben Bernanke, Janet Yellen, and this guy Powell, and before that was the character, I forgot his name already. But everybody thinks they're wizards, but they're controlled by grudge, gross universal cashless. Our wealth is stolen via the money we work for. And that's why I wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was a warning shot across the bow back in 1997. I said, wake up, something's coming down the road. So we're here right now. This is the biggest transformation in the history of the world. It's from industrial age to information age. Brian Rose is doing well because you made the transition. I'm doing well because I made the transition. I'm making more money than ever before. I have problems, but I'm making more money than ever before. But if you're losing money right now, the problem starts with what you were taught in school. Because they never taught you anything about money. They never taught you about a financial statement, like my rich dad did. They teach you that diploma is everything. It's a piece of toilet paper. BS.
And you buy into that mechanism of money, and you believe that is the only thing to focus on. And what you're saying right now with these stimulus packages is all of this money being given, quote unquote, away by the government to everybody is actually devaluing your dollar, it's devaluing your pension, it's devaluing your savings, and it's wiping out businesses. So it's you're dying by this sword.
This is how what Fuller talked about, the prison is inside our head, Buckminster Fuller. It starts with misinformation and misorientation. Misinformation, misorientation. And he says, how dare our schools punish kids for making mistakes? How else do you learn if you don't make a mistake and learn from your mistake? He says, God designed us. I'm not real religious, I'm not preaching here, okay? God designed us to learn by making mistakes. For instance, a baby learns to walk by falling down. A baby learns, to ride a bicycle by falling off the bicycle. And Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer ever in the history of the world, because he made more mistakes than you and I did. But our schools punish you for making mistakes. It's 2008, it was, those credit default swaps. It was for residential real estate, so they bailed them out. This next crash is for the hedge funds and private equity that invested in all this commercial real estate. So I have another $100 million project coming out, but I just got bailed out. I just got backed up by the Fed and the government. So that's why it's socialism for the rich. Unfortunately, there's capitalism for the poor middle class, those that work for money. You're on your own. You know, if you run a small restaurant and you got to let go of your staff, you're no different than your staff right now. The national debt for World War II was $25 billion. Every day today, they're printing $125 billion. Every single day, that's like 5 World War IIs per day. They're printing so much money to keep this thing of a hot air balloon with a tear in it. And they're doing desperately trying to fix this tear, but no matter how hard they try, the tear has gone beyond, it's coming down. So in financial terms, it's called our debt to GDP has now gone from 60 to 90 to 105, it's going to 120. We're bankrupt. And they're going to print more and more money, which means savers are losers, just as I predicted. Your money is going to be worthless in a few years. So my message is the same as some of your other guests. This is metamorphosis time. Financial education in rich dad's terms is really financial transformation. And the definition of metamorphosis is very important. Metamorphosis, the definition is the evolution or the transformation from an immature form to an adult form. An immature form to an adult form. Metamorphosis is the same as a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And Fuller always said there's nothing to predict a butterfly inside a caterpillar. So everybody listening right now, if you're struggling financially, just think of yourself as a little caterpillar. And this crisis is your cocoon. The question is, what do you emerge as? Do you emerge as a victim? You know, the world did that to me, and the capitalists are crook, and the rich are bastards, and all this stuff? Or do you say, oh, this is the best thing that ever happened to me? The choice is between your head, your heart, your body, your mind, your spirit. That's where the choice, the metamorphosis, the evolution or the transformation from an immature form. Mommy, daddy going to take care of me. Mommy and daddy going to pay for my education. The government's going to give me Social Security. I have a 401k. You know, my employer is an asshole. You know, You're going to evolve from that into an adult. That's metamorphosis.
It does sound like a little kid.
If you grow up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, and health-wise, voila, this is the best thing that happened to me. But if you're still a victim, you're not going to make it. The metamorphosis begins when you look in the mirror. And it's just like when I was going to blow this little boy's head off in Vietnam. I said, why am I doing this? You know, why am I going to kill this little 10-year-old boy? Now, he was a Viet Cong. I mean, I was justified by the rules of engagement to shoot him. But one day I wondered, why am I doing this? And if you're standing in front of the mirror today, you know, this coronavirus and looming depression, how did I get here is the question. What don't I know? What did my information, education, cultural background, what did not prepare me for today? That's where the transformation or the metamorphosis begins. We take responsibility. You know, everybody talks about rights, but we have personal responsibilities too. And unfortunately, our university systems have failed us miserably. And the reason for that is every professor wants tenure. That's my whole family. That was the most important thing about getting a job, was tenure, job security for life. And that's what they teach kids without knowing it. They teach kids that life is dangerous and you need to be protected. So they're immature. College professors are some of the most immature, right? They might be very smart mentally, but immature financially. They can't take care of themselves. So they're teaching kids to be victims. You know, that's why they use trigger mechanisms and you can't say words that are hurtful and all this stuff. So they're teaching that you're a victim, you're vulnerable. And what you teach and what I teach is that, hey, don't be a victim, be proactive.
Can you just talk me through a few asset classes and explain kind of what's going on? Because I still think it's important for you to walk us through some basics, Robert, and whether that's real estate or oil or gold and silver, which you call God's money. Maybe you can give us all just a quick education on kind of some of that stuff. And I also heard you talking about something called the US crypto dollar. I don't know, maybe you could define some of those things for us, right now.
Well, gold and silver were here when the earth was formed. Do you know what I mean? It'll be here long after we're gone. It's God's money. God made it. And in our language, it's called counterparty risk. There's no counterparty risk. Your counterparty is God. That's pretty good. That's like a co-signer is God. The banks will back you up. Oh, who's your co-signer? Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. Okay, we'll give you the money. So gold has that. Now gold goes up and down because the gold market is manipulated. The futures market, the ETF market, GLD, SLV, and then physical gold. So the thing I think is interesting is the price of gold goes down, but you can't buy any gold at the physical market. So the futures market is coming down, the GLD price is coming down, paper market is coming down, but physical you can't get anything on it. Why? It's because the rich are hoarding it. The rich are hoarding gold and silver like toilet paper and guns. The poor and middle class are calling their financial planner, and the financial planner is telling them to stay in it for the long term. And meanwhile, the rich are getting out. Wake up is my message.